So welcome everyone to this afternoon's press conference. We'll begin by taking questions for Heung-Min Son for around 10 minutes. So we'll try and fit in as many questions as we can in this time. Sonia will be then followed by Ange Postecoglou. We'll take questions from the floor and please use the microphone providers.
Hi Sonny. One of the very few left from the Champions League finals squad. How determined are you to captain Tottenham to a European trophy?
Yeah, it's a dream. There is no hiding about this, and so I think that's what we work for. Obviously, we were looking for another big competition that everybody wants to win. Yeah, it's gonna be tough competition, a lot of games and a lot of traveling, so which makes it even harder. So we just gotta be ready and take it serious, the competition, because it's a massive competition.
I know you mentioned it in the fans forum, but you talk about it being a competition. It's expanded even more in terms of games. It's a lot of travelling for all of you. You yourself, South Korea and back. Do you worry about not being looked after? And do you think we're in danger of maybe losing the quality in our matches?
Yeah, I think a lot of players came out and say the right things, and I think it was very important to someone actually come up to and say the right things. You know, sometimes you players are the main guys to have to say something. You know, and yeah, it's definitely a lot of games. And as a football fan or as a who loves football, you want to see quality of the game, not many games as possible, and you don't want to see people or players are struggling with the injuries, and which is nobody wants to see it. And yeah, I think it's definitely a lot of games, a lot of traveling, which is we have to look after ourselves, and which is sometimes it's also very hard, and sometimes you're mentally, physically you're not ready, and then you're going into the pitch. Obviously, then the risk of injury and is massive. So yeah, we are not robots, so I think we just definitely have to looking after that and reduce the game definitely, and we can play better quality of game is definitely. I think this is should be the aim.
If you play too many games, or you're saying you play too many games, first of all, last year Spurs only played 40 games because they were knocked out early in the League Cup and the FA Cup. But what tournaments do players not want to play in then? Because if I said to you, you want to play in the League Cup, chance to win that, first time in 20 years for Spurs, you'd say yeah. Same with the FA Cup, obviously Premier League, Europe, internationals. I mean, you want to play in everything anyway, don't you?
Yeah, but don't get me wrong. We love playing football. That's clear, because that's why we work to be here. But do you know how much we're traveling and how much we're playing games? That's not only just about the games. You know, that preparing, the mentally, physically. I think it's a lot of work. And I think the program was adding even more games. And for example, like City games, they play on Sunday and Tuesday. This was not even flexible, so it could move probably for the guys play Wednesday instead of Tuesday, you know. So but it's not fixable, so we are not flexible. I think this is we are talking about, you know, and there's no more that everybody get injury and high risk of the injury. I think it's not fair, I would say. And also I think Rodri would say the right things. We play maybe 50, 60 games and not more than 70 games. You know, I think this is not fair.
So if there are more games, and this is a personal question, I'll tell you that it's a personal question. If there are too many games and there are only going to be more added, would you be in favour of going on strike because that's the only way players putting their view forward?
No, I mean, you wanna go to the final and play a lot of games. That's different scenario. But what I want to say is that platform, for example, we are talking about the Champions League. We changed the platform to play even more games, and I think this is not right to looking after the players. You know, just that's what we are talking about, and what we can do is we definitely can change about it, and we can definitely going in a good way that people they can looking after the players.
Sonia, I know Ange spoke about this topic last night, and so did Daniel Levy. So it feels like everyone at the club is on the same page when it comes to too many games. What's the solution if it's not a strike? Whose responsibility do you think it is to?
It's not
change
definitely players.
It's not the players.
Not the players. Players just when the fixtures comes, the player has to play. Players have to be on the pitch, and I mean, there's a lot of going on, you know. And I mean, UEFA, FA, and also international football, FIFAs, and everybody has to taking about this really seriously. And I think it's not just not random. Just like only few players came out. Yeah, it's way too many games. What we want to see, as I said before, I think what we want to see is the quality of the game. You want to see high quality of games and top games with top players, you know. So I think this should be the aim. And obviously injury sometimes comes also with less games, but with the possibility of a lot of traveling, a lot of games, it will be higher than when you play less games.
Hi, Sonny. You're a legend of this club. You've been here for a long, long time, but we believe that you have, at the moment, your contract is up at the end of the season. We think you've got an option for another year. Can you clarify what the situation is? Have you signed a new contract, or has it been triggered already?
Yeah, we haven't talked anything yet. So I think I say in fan forum, it was very clear for me. It's just like I'm very focused for this season. At this age, is every second is like a goal, you know. So for especially this season, we are in a lot of competition. Feels like I'm taking even more care about this, and just I say, I think I'm just fully focused on this situation, and this year just want to win something that everybody in this club and these players and all around that deserves, and that's what I'm working for. And in the end, future, you never know what's gonna happen, but yeah, I will make sure that I give everything for this club, because it's been almost 10 years that I give everything. So yeah, we'll see what happens. So I still have a contract with the club, which is mainly very important thing, and then just wanna give everything what I have until my contract.
And just, you mentioned 10 years at the club. You're now the captain. You're one of the older players. There's a lot of younger players, you know, teenagers that have come in now. Just wondered, what's the difference compared to when you were their age with the younger players of today?
I think when you're a younger player, when you are young, you don't realize how massively that takes that responsibility. But you know, when you're like mainly oldest player, when you're on the squad, and then you see the young lads, and you just want to help them. You know that what does mean in the Premier League, or in the playing in these big clubs, and it changes so much, you know, in 10 years time, you know. So yeah, I just want to be good friends, good teammates, and just showing that I'm doing right things on and off the pitch, and it takes a lot of responsibility, but it's a joy, and we have some unbelievable players, but mainly 10 years just gone way too fast, which is sometimes make me a little bit sad. But yeah, what can I say? Just do the right things, be a good example that towards to every young players to be top professional.
Hi, Sonny. I was going to ask you about one of those young players, actually, Mikey Moore. The fans are hoping to maybe see a bit of him tomorrow night. I mean, first off, how good can he be if he keeps working hard? And also, as his captain and a fellow winger, do you kind of play a little role in kind of mentoring him and things like that?
Yeah, he's a fantastic boy, and obviously, when he's coming from academy, you, as a club, you look after him even more, you know, like everybody's just like so welcoming and looking after him. So do I, because he's such a lovely kid, and working hard every single day, coming with the first team with that age is not easy, you know. Like sometimes you're very shy, but he's showing in the good personality and working hard, which is very important to me. And when you see the young players are working hard in a first team, and you just wanna help him. You know, that's was I was when I was young, and now who's coaching in Manchester United. Ruud van Nistelrooy was helping me a lot in a Hamburg time. So, and now I want to be that guy as well. You know, just having around me and just talking about, because we are playing almost similar position, that if I can help him a little bit of advice, and I'm always open to it. And Mike is also coming to me most of times and asking questions, which is very fun and joy to talk to him. And he's a fantastic boy, and then I'm definitely sure that he can be fantastic player. There's no doubt, because he has such an amazing quality. But as we always say, as young players, let's don't get him too much pressure on his shoulder. Just let's enjoy that how he develop improvement every single day, every single season. And as a fan, as a supporter, we should just enjoy watching him, and he'll be, I think, one of the top player.
When I spoke to Deki Kulusevski a couple of months back, he said he's had to really adapt his game as a winger. Obviously, he's now playing more in the midfield, but as a winger, he had to adapt to play the Ange Postecoglou system. Have you found that? Because it's a very kind of high and wide winger he likes, but obviously you, like Deki, like to cut inside as much as you can as well.
No, I think it's all about the manager system, and then you just also had to adapt, which is very, very important. But it doesn't mean that I have to stay all the time in the wide area. That some last game I was cutting inside, make these inside runs, and when Dom comes in a deep position, when he tracks the centre backs out of the position, then I'll make these space runs. And I think it's all about depending on the situation. But Deki is the kind of guy that who wants to be in the more middle, that he can handle with the ball really well with the back of the opponent. And I think that's his game, and he's joy now. He's at the moment he's having a great season. That everybody not talking about that is that Deki's work rate is unbelievable. That he's everywhere on the pitch, you know. So, but I think people never seen that, you know. But Deki works really hard. That I think so hard that when I see all the datas, and sometimes I get shocked, you know. So it feels like he never stops running. So I think players are all appreciate about what he does, and with the ball, with the quality what he has, there is no doubt that every position he can do. And I think as a manager, I think he can put him anywhere that he's do the right thing for what he asked for. So yeah, there is no doubt what he does, and he's doing amazing at the moment.
We'll just have one question from Jay and then one from
Thank
Tom.
you. Hi, Son. Just wanted to ask you about your relationship with Rodrigo Bentancur after what happened in the summer, and just for your reaction on now that he's been charged by the FA, if that's okay.
Yeah, to be fair, there's at the moment from FA the process. That's why I can't say much about it. But I love Rodrigo a bit. I love him. I love him. We had a lot of good memories. We started play together when he joined, and you know, he knew he apologized straight afterwards. You know, when we had a holiday. I was at home, and I didn't even realize that was what's going on, and he just sent me a long text that you could feel that it was coming from his heart, you know. And afterwards, then when he came back to the training ground for the preseason, and he just like felt really sorry, and he almost like cried when he said apologized in a public, also personal as well. So, but he felt like he was. Feel really sorry. We are all human, makes a mistake, which is we learn from it. But I love Rodrigo a bit, and I love him, and he know he made a mistake, but I have no problem at all. So which is we move on as a teammate, as a friend, and also as a brother. We move on as a together, and I hope just have to wait what FA is as a process, but can't say much. That what I can say, one thing is that I love Rodrigo. So there's nothing more to say.
Thank you very much.
Well done. Thank you. Thank you.
Guys, obviously here to preview tomorrow's Europa League tie against Qarabağ. No embargo, please use the microphone provided and we'll try and get through as many questions in the time we have. Michael.
Thanks, Andy. You all right, Ange?
I'm good, bud.
How are we looking, team news?
We're looking...
not me.
Yeah. No, we're looking at good. Okay, so nothing sort of from the weekend in terms of injuries. Everyone sort of pulled up really well and no issues there. And obviously, apart from the injuries, the obvious absences are Romero and Spence and Reguilon, who are training today, but obviously for different reasons aren't eligible.
It was rare for Spurs last season. You obviously joined the club with them not in Europe. How much are you looking forward to? Spurs have a real good, big relationship with European football. Won this competition twice.
Yeah, no, really sort of pleased to be back there. Excited about being back in it. I spoke about it last year that it was a real gap in our sort of calendar, and I think didn't help us at certain times of the year not having that sort of regular football and that challenge of playing against different types of opposition and sort of exposing our whole squad to some, real meaningful game time. So for a number of reasons, and the worst thing was sitting around watching other teams playing it. That didn't sit well with me either. So being back in European competition is important.
I know you have touched on it, but Son was really passionate then. I know you mentioned it in the fans forum, but it is an expanded competition. Son particularly mentioned about the player welfare and maybe the dip in quality. Do you echo what Son and other players, Rodri, Alisson, have been saying about this extended format of these competitions?
Well, not specifically to this competition, but I've spoken already about the fact that I think we're getting to a real sort of dangerous level of what our expectations are around players. And instead of sort of focusing on one or two tournaments, it's about the calendar. That's more of an issue. Players don't get a break between seasons anymore that they used to. There's more tournaments, both at international and at club level, at continental level. So, like I said, it's going to get to a point where, we're not going to have the best players out there playing, and more, probably even worse, is, them breaking down for various reasons. So it's definitely something that needs to be addressed.
On that, Ange, you said last night that players will take matters into their own hands if things don't change. I mean, what does that look like? Is that a strike?
I said players may take that. I didn't say they will. I said they may take matters into their own hands, and it's about us. I guess they're the ones most affected, to be honest. So you'd understand if they start as a collective thinking about, well, how much of this are we going to sort of continually, not have a say in? And it's like anything else in life, I guess. If you're affected, and it is the players that are affected, we have a responsibility as clubs, as managers as well, to make sure that we protect our players from that as well. So it's the reason we have squads. So, we've got to be mindful of, we can't on the one hand sort of bemoan the fact that, we have so many games, but we want to be in all competitions, and at the same time we don't use our squads because I think we end up being complicit in that.
Can I ask you a tactical question? We saw Arsenal come here and win without the ball, or 36% possession, I think it was, and then do a kind of extreme version of that in the second half against Man City, albeit with 10 men. I guess 10, 15 years ago, there used to be more managers who were kind of winning big things without having the ball. That's changed. It now feels like you have to have possession to win. Do you think we could go back to a time where football kind of goes in a cycle towards an approach where you don't need to have the ball to kind of be competing at the very highest level?
I think football's always gone in those cycles. I mean, I think there's always been sort of dominant teams who are more sort of, possession heavy, and other times where it's been teams that as you said require less of the ball. I think in football there's always that kind of counterbalance of what can be successful in any given time. A lot of that comes down to, I think, the strength of teams that execute that. If you get sort of the best teams who have a period of domination playing a certain way, it invariably means that others try and sort of follow that method, and if it's the flip side then it goes the other way. So I've always felt there's always been a kind of cycle that football kind of goes through, where certain kind of tactical play ends up dominating for a period of time till somebody comes along and comes up with something different and then sort of changes things.
People seem to be congratulating Arsenal on not having a soft underbelly and developing their way of playing with the dark arts. I was at Mikel Arteta's press conference yesterday. Your team played good at entertaining football. That's how you're going to win a trophy, be it this season or whenever. How come you don't have to use the dark arts in inverted commas?
You're making it sound as if it's good versus evil, like, Batman versus whoever, I don't know. I don't know my superheroes that well. Look, I think it's all part of the game and it's always existed. It's just, I've never, look, I've said before, I don't believe in the dark arts. I don't know how to do it. It's just not in my makeup, but I've seen it be very effective, and a very effective tool. And my kind of thing has always been, well, if teams are going to go down that way, we've got to be even more disciplined to make sure we don't get distracted by that. And because, ultimately, I guess the role of every manager, every team is to try and, unsettle an opposition one way or another, and some do it by, trying to disrupt and sort of curtail any sort of momentum from the opposition. Others want the momentum, they want to have the dominance. So it just depends which side of the coin you fall down. But, the reason I do what I do is because that's the space I'm comfortable in. I know how to do that. For me to sort of change my approach would mean to me sort of delving into an area that I don't really, sort of have a lot of emphasis in the way I coach or the way I talk.
And finally, on this competition, it's changed since you were last in it because it's not home and away anymore. Teams don't drop down from the Champions League anymore. And Spurs are among the favourites to win it. How do you see that and how do you see the new competition?
Yeah, I think it's interesting. Obviously, early stages. It'll be interesting to see how it develops. I think I said before, just a gut feeling that there's probably going to be more in games. Usually in the group stage, after about the second, probably the third game, you kind of knew who was going through, so there may be some dead rubbers in there. But I think all games will be meaningful because all teams will have something to play for, and it's not that sort of standard home and away. So you're going to play, 8 different teams, 8 different styles of football. So look, it's an interesting challenge. I guess at the end of it, we'll see whether it's kind of had the effect that everyone wants it to have by being a little bit more, I guess, exciting and all the way through rather than sort of just a knockout phase. But most important thing for us is we're in it. So because we're in it, we've got a chance.
Azerbaijani news agency. You've probably watched Qarabağ's recent games. Which player in Azerbaijani champion squad are you more concerned about?
Look, we've had a very good look at them. We had somebody fly out there on the weekend, watch them play, and they're a very good team. They dominate the local competition, but just as importantly, in Europe, have always made an impact. We had a good look at their 2 games against Leverkusen last year. They did very well. They pushed Leverkusen all the way, and we know how dominant Leverkusen were last year. So, it's not so much about the individual threats; it's about understanding that we've got to make sure we reach the level of performance we do tomorrow night against a very good, experienced European opponent. I think experience in Europe counts, and Qarabağ have been there consistently, whether it's Champions League or Europa League, and like I said, have always made an impact, so we've got to be ready for that tomorrow.
English press reports that Tottenham will play attacking football towards Qarabağ. Is that true, or will you be opting for a more cautious approach?
No, well, the English never believe the English press. Don't make that mistake. We'll just play our football. We like to play a certain way, and I think Europe gives us another challenge because, as I said, European football, you're meeting teams that probably play a little bit differently, and sometimes, obviously tomorrow it's at home, but sometimes in conditions that you don't usually face up to, and I think it'll help us develop as a team by facing some different types of opposition, and but ultimately it's about sort of playing our football, being as aggressive as we can with everything we do, and hopefully overcoming the challenge that Qarabağ will have tomorrow.
Hi, Ange. Can I just
Sorry,
Can I just ask about Maddison? It seems he's playing in a slightly different role this season, seeing him a bit deeper on Saturday, a bit more out on the left. Can you just sort of talk a little bit about what you're seeing from him that you wanted to get more out of from him and how that kind of fits into the team?
Yeah, no, I wouldn't say he's changed his role. He's doing exactly the same as last year. I think if you look back early last year, very similar kind of. And I've said all along that the key to Matters is, you know, if he's physically good and now he's, you know, getting to that level of where, you know, he's able to cover ground to receive the ball wherever we need him to receive, whether that's deep, wide, but then the ability to really, you know, beat players on the dribble and then contribute to attacking play, you know, not just sort of one phase of play. He's getting involved in 2-3 phases of play, and to do that physically, it's really important for Matters. And like I said, if you look back early last year, you know, he was doing very similar things for us that he did on the weekend. It was only when he came back from injury he kind of struggled, because I don't think physically he was where he needed to be. He's had a good, strong pre-season, and yeah, I can just sense every game he's feeling better and better about how he's feeling, and when he does that, I think he's able then to play, you know, in the role we need him to.
Last season, obviously, you had that really awful period of injuries, and I remember you saying that you kind of wanted to look into that at the end of the season and to maybe adjust the training a bit or whatever. I just wondering if you kind of have done anything differently this season with this kind of big period now coming up.
Yeah, no, we're constantly reviewing. We've made changes, obviously, both in sports science and the medical department, and I think we've kind of evolved the squad to get players we believe are going to be robust enough to play our kind of football, and you know, and part of that process, as I said, is the ability to then rotate and not sort of overburden too many players, you know, within the squad. I mean, you've already seen that, you know, the significant injuries to other teams already, and I think it's, you know, we've spoken about, you know, the calendar the players are having to bear, and part of our process is to hopefully have a robust enough squad to cope with everything, but also utilise that squad in the right way so that we minimise kind of the injuries that hopefully we can control. Some injuries you can't control, but you know, in terms of our approach, we're still training as hard as we did last year. We're, you know, trying to play the same football. Our physical numbers are, you know, as good, if not stronger, than they were last year in games, which is our barometer. It's just that, like I said, we've hopefully got a more robust squad, and, you know, our processes to recovery and the way we're looking after players is a little bit different.
Tell you, please.
Hi, Ange. Many teams in the past have used this competition to rotate players, to give a chance to players who maybe hadn't played that much in the Premier League, in this case. I'm not asking you if you're going to rotate too much tomorrow, but do you think with the change the competition has made, this will still be possible?
Yeah, I think so. I think, as I said, you know, we've got a squad of players that, you know, we've gone into the season thinking that we're going to potentially, you know, hopefully play 50 plus games in a year, and you're not going to expect, you know, hardly any players to play in all those 50 games, and if you can get sort of 30, 35 games out of everybody. So, you know, your European games, your cup games are an opportunity for us to develop, you know, players and get them ready. You know, what you don't want to do is make too many changes every game. We did that obviously against Coventry because, you know, we needed to, but that tends to disrupt. But this early part of the season, I think it is important that we give some game time to guys so that when we need to make changes, and we will need to, it's not bringing in players who haven't played for 6 or 8 weeks. You know, they played 2 weeks ago. So, you know, if we make changes tomorrow night, the guys coming in played against Coventry a week ago. It's not like they haven't played for 4 or 5 weeks. So I still think that, you have that opportunity in the Europa.
This is a chance for you to win a trophy. Do you have like a preference, like the Premier League is our main competition, Europa League is second?
No, we want to win everything, mate, so no preference.
Okay, we'll finish with Matt down here, please.
Hello, Ange.
Hey, mate.
Can you expand a little bit, please, on what it means to be in Europe, why it matters, both for the club, is it about prestige, is it about money, is it about everything, but also for yourself and the challenge that you've taken on coming to Spurs?
Yeah, look, I tend to look at it more from a sort of my role, sort of from a footballing perspective. Whether I don't know, in terms of revenue, I guess it helps the club. In terms of prestige, it helps the club. But just from a footballing perspective, like I said, it's a different challenge from what you face in the Premier League, even in competitions for the most part. And I think whenever you can expose, individuals or a group to different environments, different challenges, I think there's greater opportunity for growth. And whether it's playing against an opponent you've never played before, or who played differently, or playing in a country or in a stadium with a different kind of atmosphere, all those kind of things are opportunities for growth. And I think that's what European competition enables you to do. I think for us, I kept saying last year, I think if we had been in Europe, irrespective of the competition, I think we would have been able to evolve a little bit quicker in terms of our, what we expose our players to. But, having sort of European competition, especially with the young group we've got, a lot of them, it'll be their first time playing in this competition as a group. It's the first time for us to play in Europe. The squad's changed a lot in the last 12 months. So I think for all those reasons, I just see it as a fantastic opportunity to evolve for us as a team in a footballing sense that hopefully gets us closer to our goal.
And in terms of winning a competition, it feels like because you no longer get the dropouts from the Champions League, you know who's in it at the start, you know what you're up against. Does that feel like it's something that's, I don't know if it's easier to target, but something that's more conceivable to target?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think whenever you're in a sort of this kind of competition, you never look kind of beyond, well, what's the first part of it is getting out of the group, and then you kind of, it's only sort of in the knockout stage you start sort of looking at, okay, what are potential matchups, who's left, and so whether that was, last year teams dropping down or this year, I mean, I think we'll get a decent idea of where we sit on the table and likely outcomes after that. But I think it's only really in the knockout phase that you kind of focus on, okay, what sort of opposition do we have here? So I think the challenge is still the same. I don't think it makes it necessarily easier, because if somehow this is easier for us, I assume it's easier for all the other teams that are really strong in this competition as well. So I don't think that changes. It's just, like I said, it's a unique format. It's different. God knows how you look at that table in one screenshot, because it's about 37, 38, 36 teams, whatever it is. So you're trying to work out where everyone sits will be a challenge. But like I said, for us, what we do know is we've got 8 really good games and an opportunity to progress from there.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.